Hey everyone, and welcome. So, you're looking to add a touch of that airy, feathery, just beautiful elegance to your home? Well, you've come to the right place. Today, we're doing a complete deep dive into the care guide for the absolutely stunning asparagus fern.
All right, let's just jump right in. The very first thing you need to know about the asparagus fern, and this one might surprise you, is that it's a bit of an imposter. I mean, look at it. It looks like a fern, but it's not a true fern at all. Believe it or not, it's actually a member of the lily family. Yup, that means it's way more closely related to the asparagus on your dinner plate than it is to a Boston fern. Crazy, right?
Okay, now before we go any further, and this is super important, we have to talk about safety. The berries and the foliage on this plant are toxic if they're eaten, and that goes for pets like cats and dogs and for humans. So if you've got curious pets or little ones running around, you've got to make sure this plant is placed well out of their reach. It's gorgeous to look at, but it is definitely not for snacking on. So, here's a quick roadmap of what we're going to cover today. First, we'll properly meet our little imposter fern. Then, we'll get into what I call the core care trio, the absolute must-knows. After that, we'll talk about creating the perfect environment, and then get into shaping, potting, and even sharing your plant. And we'll finish up by troubleshooting some common problems and a few final pro tips. Sound good? Let's go.
All right, section 1, meet the imposter fern. To really nail the care for this plant, it really helps to know which one you're actually working with. So we're going to focus on the two most common types that you're likely to find out there.
Okay, so let's meet our two main stars. First up is the Springeri. This is the one most people picture, with those long, beautiful, arching stems that just spill over the side. It's absolutely perfect for hanging baskets. Then you've got the Meyersi, which most people know as the foxtail fern, and you can see why. Its stems are super dense, they're upright, and they look just like a big, fluffy fox's tail. It's a fantastic accent plant for a pot. So the real question for you is, are you looking for a trailer or do you want more of an upright showstopper? Okay, moving right along to section 2, the core care trio. Look, if you can get these three things right, light, water, and soil, you are well on your way to a happy, thriving plant. Think of these as the three non-negotiables, the absolute fundamentals of asparagus fern care. First up, let's talk light. Asparagus ferns absolutely love bright, but indirect light. A spot near an east-facing window is pretty much the sweet spot. Or, maybe a few feet back from a really sunny south or west-facing one. Be careful though, because too much direct sun will literally scorch those delicate little needles. On the flip side, too little light and your plant will get all stretched out and sparse. It's all about finding that happy medium. Our second pillar is water. During the spring and summer, when it's actively growing, the goal is to keep the soil consistently moist. A good rule of thumb is just to water whenever that top inch or so of soil feels dry. But here's a cool little secret about this plant. It has these tuberous roots that actually store water. This makes it way more drought tolerant than a true fern. It's a little more forgiving if you forget to water every now and then. Now, how you water really matters here. You'll want to use lukewarm water, and when you water, do it thoroughly. I mean, soak the soil completely until you see water running out of the drainage holes at the bottom. But this next part is absolutely critical. After about 15, maybe 30 minutes, you have to dump out any excess water that's collected in the saucer. Letting this guy sit in a puddle of water is the #1 fastest way to get root rot. Seriously, don't do it. And the final piece of our core trio is the soil. And the good news here is these plants are not super fussy. A standard, high-quality potting mix from the store works just fine. But the one thing you can't skimp on is drainage. You can really supercharge your mix by adding in some perlite or coarse sand. This just helps create little air pockets, which lets any excess water escape and keeps those special tuberous roots healthy and rot-free. Okay, so we've got the basics down, the stuff for survival. Now, in section 3, we're going to talk about how to move from just surviving to really, truly thriving. This is about creating that ideal home where your asparagus fern can just flourish. Okay, there are 3 big environmental factors to think about for lush growth. First is temperature. They like average room temps, so just keep them away from cold drafts or, a heating vent. Second, they love humidity. A bathroom or kitchen is a fantastic spot, but you can also mist them, put the pot on a tray of pebbles with water, or just group them together with other plants. And finally, fertilizer. During the spring and summer, feed them every couple of weeks with a liquid fertilizer diluted to half strength. Think of it as fuel for all that fast growth. Now for section 4, shaping, potting, and sharing. This is where we get to be a little more hands-on. We're We're talking about the long-term maintenance that not only keeps your plant looking its best, but can even help you make brand new plants. First off, don't be scared to prune this plant. Trimming away any yellow or dead stems not only keeps the plant looking tidy, but it actually encourages it to grow back fuller and bushier. And you can do this anytime. If your plant is looking really sad and leggy, you can even do a hard reset and cut it all back to rejuvenate it. But, and this is a big but, please wear gloves. Many varieties have these tiny little thorns that are surprisingly sharp. Want to make more plants for free? I mean, who doesn't, right? The best way is by division, and it's easiest to do it when you're already repotting. You just take the whole plant out of its pot, and then using a clean knife, you literally just slice the root ball into a few different sections. The only thing to make sure of is that each new piece has some healthy roots and a few stems attached. Then you just pot them up individually in fresh soil. It's honestly that simple. All right, on to section 5, and this is where we put on our plant detective hats. Your asparagus fern is great at giving you signals when something's not quite right. So this section is all about learning how to read those signals and figuring out how to respond. Look, 9 times out of 10, problems with your plants come down to water. Now, yellowing leaves can be tricky because it can mean either over or underwatering. So you've got to look for the other clues. If the soil is wet, but the plant is still wilting and the stems at the base are mushy, that's a classic sign of overwatering. But if the needles are getting crispy and dropping like crazy, you're probably underwatering. Use this little chart as your guide. Besides water issues, here are a few other SOS signals your plant might be sending you. If you see a ton of needle drop all of a sudden, the first thing to check is your humidity. Brown, crispy tips on the ends, that's almost always a cry for more humidity in the air. And that leggy, sparse, stretched out look we talked about, that is your plant screaming, "Hey, I need more light over here." Wow, we have covered a ton of ground, haven't we? So let's wrap this all up in our final section with a super handy summary and one last thought to leave you with.
Okay, here it is. Everything we've talked about all in one simple cheat sheet. Seriously, go ahead and grab a screenshot of this. It covers every key care factor from light and water all the way to fertilizer. If you ever have a doubt or just need a quick refresher, you can just pull this up and have your answer. So the big takeaway here is that the asparagus fern isn't really a fern at all. It's a master of disguise. And it's a great little reminder that in the plant world, things aren't always what they seem. And that leaves me with one final question for you to chew on. What other plant imposters might just be hiding in plain sight in your own collection? Happy growing!